I'm really happy to be here. I want to tell you, has anybody ever been able to tell from a job application that the place is already desperate? I once last year I was just working with remote kids who weren't in the classroom, unsafe because of the pandemic. And I learned later that the school I was working for, they needed to make 70 hires in about 2 weeks. The questionnaire they sent us was do you hate kids? Please say no. You absolutely could have been I don't think they should be allowed to read or write. Let me know if I am a good fit for your school. We'll give you a pamphlet. You start September 8th. Go team. It was a super lucky job. I really ended up liking it. I was working with a second grader named James. My very first day with James, his teacher asked them all to make name cards for themselves with a little picture of what their name meant to them. So we're there at his dining room table at this Chromebook that is now a school, and I asked him, what does your name mean to you? And he said a house burning down. I said, what? He drew a big house and then took a red crayon, just demolished it. I said, you finished that way too early. Do you want to add anything? He said, yeah, the person starting the fire. And he drew himself. I was like, James, what do you think you might say, though, when your teacher asks what the connection is between this drawing and your name? And he said, I'm a bad boy. We had just met, just that day. Can't stress that enough. I ended up working with James for 5 months. He is not a bad boy. We had a great time together. We made each other laugh a lot. There was only one day. There was only one day where I genuinely wished I was anywhere else but James's house. It was a few months in. We were doing independent reading time, which is where they all read a book on their own for a little, and then we come back as a class and we talk about it. So James is reading this big encyclopedia of Marvel comics. And he's really focused on it. At one point, he breaks the silence and he goes, what's the alphabet again? I said, you mean the order of the letters? He goes, yeah, where's R? I'm looking for Readskull. That is not a name that registered with me at the time. I would love to tell you that it's because I've never seen a Marvel movie. I've seen all of them. And I don't know if you've ever spent 10 years watching 1,000 movies in the same series. Not all the characters stick. So I let him keep reading. I told him where R was. A few minutes later, he breaks the silence again. He says, hey, I found it. Readskull, the most dangerous of the Nazi agents, the perfect Nazi brought back from the dead. I'm not arguing with you that I should have said something. It probably didn't even have to be a whole primer on World War II and the Nazi Party. Could have just been, but that's not the page you're gonna read, right? The Nazis, they were really bad boys, so I don't know if that's... but it was, I couldn't stop thinking about what a delicate situation it was, how I didn't want to say the wrong thing. And then all of a sudden, James is back in class. He's announcing, I'm going to read a page from my book, Marvel Encyclopedia with new introduction by Stan Lee. And I don't know what I expected this page to be, but this is what James read to his independent reading. Johann Schmidt was born in a German village. His mother died giving birth to him, and after failing to drown the newborn child, his father committed suicide. He worked as a bellboy in a hotel after being orphaned when Adolf Hitler paid him a visit. Recognizing in Schmidt's eyes a hatred of humanity that mirrored his own, Hitler decided to turn him into the perfect Nazi. Section 2, a perfect Nazi. carrying out a range of missions for the Third Reich, especially acts of terrorism. And it was around here, I'd been in a trance, you see. I said, James, maybe we want to open it up for questions, so, guys, I think there's gonna be some. In that moment, watching this class of second graders absorb what they had seen, I'm not here to tell you, like, oh, never again, I'll never work with kids. I'm a teacher now. I really love kids. I love the work. My only thing is they really shouldn't be allowed to read or write, because it turns out you give them a piece of paper to write their name on, they draw themselves committing arson. You give them a comic book to read past the time, boom, they learned about Hitler. They're telling their whole class. So our hands are tied. I watched this class absorb what they'd learned until finally a little boy named Jerry raises his hand and unmutes. And he says, "It sounds like a pirate story." And James said, "It is." Thank you very much.